So in this first part here, we're prompted to build a wireframe, and you can see there is a picture of what it should look like, and you get some instructions. So you can really just build this in your own time as well. On the right hand side over here, you find my suggested solution. So this is really a wireframe that you can click through and see exactly in the layers panel how I set this up. You don't have to build it exactly like this, but if you ever get stuck, then just have a look. Or things like this progress bar here that might be a little tricky to start with, just copy it over. It's absolutely fine. The idea of these exercises is that you really jump in yourself and figure it out. But to get started with, let me guide you a little bit. So I'm going to copy this first one here, and I'm going to bring it over and place it next to my wireframes that I'm going to work on. Here we go. So I'm going to just place this right next to it. Let's get these ones here out of the way, and let's put this here. So this might look quite complicated and a little overwhelming, but it's actually just shapes and text. And this is all we did during our basic session. So I'm going to start like this. I'm going to press R and I'm going to draw this background shape. Keep shift pressed so you get an even shape. And this is my background picture here in the back. Now I'm going to do the same again. So I press R again, and I'm going to create a smaller shape here. Now I don't want them to be the same color, so you can simply click on any gray from here. You might have something saved down here. It doesn't matter which colors you use. You can also use the color picker, so you could also use the color that I am using in my example, but it's really irrelevant for a wireframe. So now I'm going to add the text. So I choose my text tool from the toolbar, and I'm simply going to click to where I want to place it and start typing. So podcast name. And I'm going to duplicate this. And again, we did all of this in the lessons. If you don't remember how to duplicate, jump back to the lessons. It's Shift and Alt Option. And this way I can duplicate right below in the same row. So I'm going to place this here, and I'm going to call this by artist. And I can now select it. And then in the right-hand side, in the properties panel for text, I could, for example, change this to medium and also change the text size, for example, to 16. If I select the text, I can also change the fill to black. This button here, or this label, you can see it's simply a frame with a text inside. So I'm going to hit F, and I'm going to draw a nested frame. Click on the plus button next to fill if it doesn't come with a fill. And I'm now going to round the corners. And I'm simply going to copy the text from up here, click on the frame, paste it inside, and change it. Simply drag and position it, and you can see in the layers panel that if you select the frame, anything you drag on it is automatically placed inside. If you want a little shadow for the button, then you can simply click on the plus next to effects in your right hand side properties panel, and it's going to add that. Now in my example, you can see that this is all on one frame. So this is all grouped together. I'm going to do the same for my new example here. So I'm going to select all of these elements, and now I'm going to press Command and G. This will group it. And actually for wireframes, this is quite all right. I can now call this group Hero. But you might want to already start thinking in frames, as we know this is Figma's superpower. So what you can do to convert this quickly into a frame, jump to the right hand side properties panel, and instead of group, just use a frame. You can also select elements and right click, and then you can see here frame selection and a shortcut. So you could also do this in one go. Or simply draw another frame around it. So best if you pause the video and then try this out yourself. So now I want this headline here, recently played, and we can see that this is 24 and medium. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this one here over. Oh, and by the way, I didn't switch on my grids. Let's do this. So let's select this parent frame, and then on the right hand side, I can see there's no grid applied. But I already created a grid style for you. Click on the little dots for styles and just add the mobile grid. So now you can see it. So I can also align my images now. Let's get this, hit Alt, and this way you get the nice distance so you can measure to it. So I'm going to place this headline here, and I'm going to call it recently played. I'm going to select it and I'm going to change it to medium. And I want to create these little cards here. So for this card, I'm actually just going to copy the one I already have. It looks like they're pretty much the same size. And I'm going to drag down this name because this seems to be, this is 16. How much is this? Also 16. Okay, great. So I'm just going to change this into podcast name. And now I'm already going to select both of them. And this time I'm going to right click and I'm going to say frame selection. It's the same if you group it and then change it via the drop down here, or you can simply draw a frame around it. It doesn't matter. What you're going to end up with is this frame. And inside this frame, you have your image. You can, of course, rename those. And you have the podcast name. So let's call this one here card. And now we simply want to duplicate it. So let's drag out some copies. And I always keep Alt pressed so I can see the distances. Now I'm going to select this whole group here. Let me see, actually, yeah, these are single ones in that one. And I'm just going to copy that whole group and place it down here. And I'm also going to copy my headline and I'm going to call this You Might Like. If you pause the video here again and try this out by yourself. And as I said before, you might not even need the video. Maybe it's easier for you to simply have this reference and build from there. Okay, so the last thing we need now is this bar down here, the tab bar. So I'm going to hit F and I'm going to draw a frame for this. And let's give this a background color. Let's click on plus and I'm actually just going to pick the color from my example over here. And now what I could do is I could simply add these elements. But as you can see in the tab bar here, I already set them up into subcategories. So this is going to make it easier later on when we want to add responsiveness and things like that. You don't need to do it like this, but I'm going to show you how to already set it up in those 3 sections. So the easiest thing is to just copy your tab bar and then remember our fields up here, they can do calculations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add divided by 3. And this way I'm getting the exact amount for one of my icons that I later want to place here. So now I'm simply going to get some text, and this text here is actually much smaller. This is only 12. So I'm going to change this to 12 and I'm going to place this inside of here. And then I'm simply going to hit O and draw a circle. So this is just a placeholder for an icon that's later going to be there. Let's get a little closer and then we can use our alignment tool. Oops, actually that's not the one I wanted. But well, let's place this, give it some more space. And now let's call this link or icon or whatever you want to call this. And let's now place it inside again. And I can now simply duplicate it. And this way I'm getting 3 of these links that have exactly the right size. I'm going to call this one home. And then notice this is like on the left. So what I want to do is I want to jump back. And I'm going to place this in the center. So let's change the alignment of the text to center. And I'm going to call this home. And actually, I'm going to give it all the space that I have available because I might have some other wording later on here. So I can make sure that this has enough space. And then let's call this one search. And let's call this one saved. And that's it. We have our first setup of our first screen. So let's go for the second one. Well, let's actually double click this one and call it home. Now let's bring our second one over. Let's just copy this and paste it right here. And so what I'm going to do here, like this is pretty much the same. So I'm going to copy this over. And I'm just going to get rid of these elements. I don't need them. I have this little back button. So I'm just going to copy over some text. And let me just this right. Oh, where is it? Back. Then I have the playlist name and the podcast name here as well. So I'm just going to add my layout grid again. And I'm actually just going to copy this over. Place it in the middle and I'm just going to drag it to the edges. So I'll make sure if I later have a longer name that there is enough space. I'm going to select it and center the text. Then I have some copy text. I'm going to be lazy here and I'm just going to grab this and place it here because I know it's just copy text. And then I have this little read more. So let me make this read more. I select it, and then if you want it underlined, go in the little 3 dots in your type settings, and here you can find the underline text. If you double click, then it's just gonna change from the full width to auto width if you want that, because this is a bit like a button actually. Okay, great. And now I just need to add the episodes. So I'm just going to copy a square of the ones I already have over here. To make it a little smaller. As you see, it doesn't have to sit in the grid because this is like an own element. Then I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to place it back to the left. And let's actually see how big this one is. Oh, it's very small. It's 10. You can either type all capitals, or what you can also do, again, jump into these extra settings and you can change it to capital letters. And then I'm going to just copy this one here and place it in here. Now this one I'm going to do the same. Let me change the settings of the text so it's all on the left. And I'm going to place this below. Actually, let's have a nice distance of 8. And a corner. Also, I'm going to copy this again. And you can see here I left some more space because something it might be actually longer. So what I did here is I can see this is auto. So this is a line height of 24. If you click on it, then you can see it. So I'm going to give this a size of, let me just drag this open. And I'm going to give this, so 2 lines fit in there, 48. If this is a little too advanced, don't worry, just drag it open so it fits your needs. Now this is at the bottom, I don't want this, so I'm going to change the direction here to set it to the top. And now I can align it a little better. Actually, let's have a look what they have here. They have auto and 48, yeah. So probably just need to get rid of this. Okay, and now I just need this little play button here. So this is a rectangle. So let's go to our shapes. And in our shapes, we choose a polygon. And let's draw one. And that's it. Now this obviously belongs together. So I'm going to select all of this. And actually, I'm not gonna group it this time because I want this, as you can see here, to go across the whole width. So I'm gonna actually hit F and I'm gonna draw a frame around it. And so now this is a known frame. What is this called? Episode. Let's call it episode as well. Great, and now we can simply duplicate this, and note how I want some more episodes like going down here. So this is going to go over the visible area. Remember, if we select a parent frame and unclip, then we can see everything that's below. So you can also do this in my example, and you can see that actually they only have 2 here. But so yeah, everything that is larger than your frame would become visible. Very important to always remember this. Last thing I need is my little bar down here. Let's simply copy this, select the frame, and as we know, this is going to paste it right in place. Great, so we're done with the second one. Okay, great. Now we only need our last one. Let's have a look. Our last one is the episode. Noted that this is placed on an own frame. And then we simply have a square, we have text, and this play bar here is simply a frame with another shape inside. If this is too complicated, then just copy the one that I made here. And here we have text again, and here you can see this is simply a frame with rounded corners and a little bit of a stroke, and then I placed my triangle that I created inside of here. So have a look if you can figure this out for yourself with the given solution.